Mr. McCarron.
Frank McCarron, Delancey Court. I'm a retired CFO, and when I see a hockey stick projection that you can see costs going up like this, but we're going to be flat neutral, I normally don't buy it. So I'm wondering whether or not you should have your own consultant to look at this and not just accept what they're saying. I'm certainly concerned. Wastewater, it's now going to go into local waterways. Wastewater brings nitrogen, phosphorus. These waterways are flowing into other townships. I can't imagine that that's just going to not somehow result in some reaction. The second is, I certainly see dramatic cost increases coming from the Bucks County. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But I can't see somehow we're just going to walk away. We still want to be part of you for the next 10 years, but we're not going to pay for anything that has to be done. I don't buy it. I don't accept it. I don't, from what I've heard, I don't feel like they've presented you with any information, that should make you believe that that's what's going to result. And that's why I think you need a consultant to advise you. And because the only way you can oppose things is through variances and the like, but I don't know, maybe it's bringing pressure at a state level if you need to do that. I mean, current residents, you're all going to suffer for the next 10 years with double costs, but the future residents are all going to benefit. Maybe. I'd be very cautious if I were you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else from Newtown? Okay, since there are no other folks coming up from Newtown, anybody from Middletown or elsewhere? Middletown. Okay, yeah, come on up. I know you've made a brief before, and I think you were here at our last meeting 2 weeks ago. So
yes, thank you. My name is Gary Sondermeyer, and I live at 622 White Swan Way in the Swan Point development. And at first, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak and for your service. I really appreciate it. We too, as concerned citizens, really just became aware of this project a couple weeks ago. So we're just beginning to mobilize. We really haven't articulated all of our concerns, but I did want to. We thought it was responsible to come to the supervisors to express our concerns right away. So if I can, I'll go through very quickly. We are 40-year residents of northern Middletown. And honestly, I've never seen a situation like this in my career. I should give you for context. I did spend the last 45 years as an environmental professional. I was with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for 30 years. I was the chief of staff of the organization over all the operations, 3,500 people for 10 years, and an assistant commissioner for all environmental permitting in New Jersey for 3 years. And the only point of that is to give some credibility. I have been to almost every locally unwanted land use, which they're referred to in New Jersey, which are generally wastewater treatment plants, water treatment infrastructure, landfills, incinerators, even recycling processing facilities. And they really should be regional. So I really think the authority did the right thing back in 1988 in going to a regional system. And one of the main reasons is the costs of doing it right. And I think even the numbers you see today, these costs for environmental reasons, for making sure these things are done properly, have continued to escalate and are going to continue to escalate. The first concern, and thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman, for mentioning odors and your concern about odors, that is a very significant concern. I've been to so many wastewater treatment plants, and I'm not questioning at all that the day you were there, you didn't see any problems. I've never been to one that doesn't smell and smell horribly. And Mr. Supervisor, you mentioned going down to the Jersey Shore. That's the the Ewing Lawrence Sewage Authority, ELSA. And I happened to drive through there today. And the stench truly was unbelievable. And it went for about, tried to measure about 1.5 miles. So it's not a localized issue, and it's complex. Wastewater treatment is not simple. There's 3 phases. I'm not gonna bore you with this, but there's primary, secondary, and tertiary. In the biological phase, it's basically bugs. It's microorganisms eating the organic matter. And either the bugs like air or they hate air. So the system in Walcott that was discussed is an aerobic treatment system. And the real concern here for this type of system would be hydrogen sulfide. And we all know what that is. Sounds like a big word, but we all had biology class and we smelled rotten eggs. It's rotten eggs. And what we wanted to really impress at the earliest phase here, and we did visit the authority meeting yesterday. We were treated very, very cordially. So nothing I say is meant in any way personally, but very concerned with a statement that we had heard in a audio of a recent meeting in talking about off-site impacts, and that, well, there's 1 or 2 houses and a Wawa. That really is not an accurate statement at all. And I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay to give a handout. Is that acceptable?
It is acceptable.
Thank you. I think there's enough. And what we wanted to just show to you and demonstrate is how much development is here. Again, this whole area has been built out for 40 years, and I've never in my career seen a situation where trying to site a new wastewater treatment plant in the middle of so much of a built-out area. And we wanted to frame that for you if we could. And I am speaking for many of the residents in our development of Swan Point, not just for myself. So we defined sort of 3 rings of concern, a half mile, a mile, and a mile and a half. And within that first zone, I know it's a little hard to read, but we have, it's not 1 or 2 houses, it's 46 houses and about 141 people directly potentially impacted from odors. And the odors, on a given day, you might not smell odors, but there are plant upsets, just like when we eat something that doesn't agree with us. If it doesn't agree with the bugs, it's gonna stink. And they all are gonna smell at some point in time. It's a matter of how much and how often. But look in this zone beyond the 46 houses, the number of businesses, and that's hard to count, we're working on that, but at least the Luxembourg corporate complex has dozens of small businesses. We have the Newtown Commons, we have the Newtown Tech Park, and then we have some really sensitive receptors, we would call them, that I'd want to point out to you. The Wawa really is about 600 or 700 feet, and really never seen a situation where there's a development of a food store and then a wastewater treatment plant next door. That's really incompatible. Crossing Community Church was mentioned. I do have a call into the pastor. We'll be talking to the pastor about this potential. And there are folks that do the Revolutionary War reenactments for your parades. And they're outside all the time using that facility. The Newtown Swim Club, it's about 1,500, 2,000 feet away. Imagine you're there on a Saturday with your family and your kids, and you're smelling sewage. It's really close. It's really, really close. Newtown Brewery, which I do love to frequent, is outside drinking and eating, right 700, 800 feet away. And I don't want to keep belaboring this, but I just want you to really appreciate what's right around here. There are 5 daycare and preschools right within that half-mile zone. And one of them is about 600 feet away. And it's for one of our most vulnerable populations, children with autism. It's the Summers Autism School. Real concern. So we now go beyond the immediate half-mile area, and we go out to a mile. Now we're really looking at pretty dramatic potential impacts to community. And here we've estimated about 1,882 homes within a mile, and about a population of 5,000. And if we go out, and here we get the developments. Swan Point, Eagles Mere, Silver Lake. In Newtown, we have Reserve, very beautiful, beautiful neighborhood. The villas at Newtown, all are within that zone and could be impacted. And if we go a mile and a half, we're looking at a estimated 5,000, round numbers, homes, and about 12,000 people. And in there, we start to sweep in an absolute gem of Bucks County, which is Gore Creek Park and Lake Luxembourg. So, yeah, real concerns. We do have expertise within our neighborhood. Peter Jordan is here tonight. He's spent his whole career on off-site consequences analysis for highly toxic chemicals and dispersion modeling. And you can use those same kind of tools to estimate what odors might be. And once this project is further along and we understand the technology that's chosen and exactly how it's going to work, we're going to do all that modeling. And we will certainly be presenting that to you. Beyond the odor issue, and I'm sorry it took so much time on it, but we really thought it was important to show exactly what's right around this proposed site. There was some questioning about effluent discharges. We're very concerned about that because the discharges will be to surface water, to either Gore Creek or to the Neshaminy Creek. Worried about nutrient loadings and phosphorus. And all these things do have to be studied. I could go on and on. I'm not going to do that with traffic and many other concerns that we will have, and we're going to be monitoring every phase of the project. I was very happy to hear the engineer talk about transparency, because we'd like to get any and all information that's available, so we will be evaluating it. The last thing, and thank you for so much time, is the costs and the economics. I just want to make one point to you on that. What's missing, I think, from the analysis, and you really should be aware of this, is future considerations. And when I say that, because I don't think they're in the analysis you saw today, there are evolving environmental issues that are going to directly affect the future of wastewater treatment. And we're already seeing that. We're already seeing that with the escalating costs, aging infrastructure. Two I want to mention to you. One is microplastics. I did spend the past 2 years as vice chair of Governor Phil Murphy's Plastics Advisory Council, and we very carefully looked at microplastics in the environment. And this is really, aside from the climate issues, probably the secondary most significant issue. There are microplastic particles, every single one of our bodies. Microplastics are transmitted through reproduction. They're in our kids. And you might not know this, where do microplastics come from? 30% come from washing our clothes. They come from us, from the plastics in our clothing. So what we were proposing in this task force was legislation now to regulate the manufacture of all new washing machines, to put in special filtration at the micro level. But at the macro level, what you're gonna get is a very expensive addition to wastewater treatment plants. And aside from microplastics, the other one very quickly are forever chemicals and PFAS. And that too is a big concern in the end product, which is sludge, and what you can do with that sludge. So the point is, future considerations not in this cost analysis are going to substantially raise the costs of wastewater treatment. And once you remove yourself from the regional system, you are on your own. And if I understand it right, 9,000 customers. If I have my metrics right, Bucks County regional system is 100,000. And you're going to bear, your residents are going to bear all the costs of all these future environmental improvements, which are not going to stop. We know what's happened in the last 50 years. It's going to get tighter and tighter, the standards, and more expensive. So please be cognizant when you're talking about numbers, you got to look out too. And if you lose the rate base, your residents are paying. So very sincerely, thank you for all the time and the opportunity to speak. And I could answer any questions if you had any for me. I don't think that they'll usually do that, but if you'd like to, I'd be happy to.
Maybe at another time,
Sure. Thank you.
because I do want to try to fit in
Thank
a
you.
couple
Appreciate
of
it.
other speakers. So ditto for you.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. I was not planning on speaking. My name is Peter Jordan. I live at 225 Pine Glen Road, Swan Point Development. As you see from the map, I'm a little under a mile from the proposed location. As mentioned, my expertise over 40 years, I spend my time modeling if you release a hazardous or flammable chemical, how far does it go? Who does it impact? I'm not ready to present anything here today. There's just too much information not available, and I'm only just beginning to go down the rabbit hole of doing my research. But I heard one thing that tweaked me, and I wanted to talk about it. And with all due respect, I heard the term no odors would be discharged. I was skeptical. I have in front of me just my little preliminary research. There is another proposal being done in Todd Creek, Kansas City Water District. They're using the exact technology that's being used at Walcott. That is the anaerobic granular sludge, or AGS technology. They're very forthright in about a 30-page document where they document all their issues, upcoming and potential with this plant. Forgive me, I don't have copies. I wasn't expecting to discuss this tonight. But if I go to about page 12, it has a large paragraph on what are the potential health impacts. And they clearly state a potential impact is the release of hydrogen sulfide. So they are not saying there is no potential for release of hydrogen sulfide. They are stating in black and white, yes, there is. Yes, this is a wonderful technology. I have no doubt, I'm not a wastewater person, but I have no doubt it's an improvement over other technology. But to say that there is no potential for hydrogen sulfide, they're saying black and white, it is. And I quote, the current plant, they're replacing a current plant, I must say. The current plant has no odor controls, however, future will have odor control systems. Although unpleasant and there are no health effects, reducing or eliminating them is part of working and being a good neighborhood and steward of the environment. You must have controls in place to reduce hydrogen sulfide. I talked to a good friend who owes me a lot of favors in industry, and he specifically said with an equivalent technology, you're one pump failure away from gassing away the neighborhood. Please keep that in mind whenever you're evaluating any state-of-the-art technology, including what arguably is a good technology, but nothing is perfect. And again, I emphasize, I don't think there's such a thing as odor-free. Questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Bill Everett, and I am a resident of Swan Point Development in Middletown Township, adjacent to Woodburn Road and Route 332. I live in the northern part of Swan Point, literally a couple hundred yards from the border of Newtown Township. Lower Silver Lake Road is right next to Swan Point. I live right down the road from the proposed sewer plant site. At the November 24th Board of Supervisors meeting, I voiced my environmental concerns about the sewage wastewater project. My topic this evening are some financial concerns and recommendations I have regarding the sewage wastewater treatment facility being planned by the Newtown Bucks County Joint Municipal Authority on Lower Silver Lake Road, right next to the Wawa under construction. I'd like to share two major concerns and recommendations I have regarding the project. Financial concern number one, the huge cost of the project is $128 million. You project huge rate increases in 3, 4, and 5 of the project. Was there ever a survey of existing customers about the project's impact to them? Has any consideration been given to customers on fixed income? Recommendation number one, survey the existing customers and residents and present the results publicly at this meeting. Remember, you are not required to do this project. Financial concern number 2. This project is 180 degrees opposite of the regional system strategy implemented across the state. The regional strategy spreads costs among other participants in the region. Has the cost analysis taken place assessing the financial impact of the project will have regarding the increase in other rates, in their rates? If not, why not? It is part of the complete financial impact. Recommendation number 2, perform this analysis and make the results public to impacted residents and the Board of Supervisors. Thank you for your time this evening, and remember, you're not required to proceed with this project.
And I would just like to make it clear that it's the Sewer Authority's project where we have our pieces of approval on some levels, but just to make that clear that it's the Sewer Authority's project. Any other comments? All right. I don't believe there's any action that needs to be taken. Very informative, I want to thank